Hello everyone, welcome to Mida Physiology Blogs. I am Dr. Sonam. Today we are going to discuss about the filtration of blood in the kidneys. The objectives are to know about the glomerular filtration rate, factors affecting glomerular filtration rate and factors regulating it. Now let us begin. We all have done this experiment in our school level. We had taken the mixture of water and sand. Then with the help of filter paper, we had filtrated the water and its dissolved substances from this mixture. So here, basically, the water was filtrated out of this mixture. Similar filtration process occurs in our body also, in which the blood will be filtrated out of the unwanted waste products. This filtration process in our body occurs via these capillaries. The arteriole are dividing into these capillaries, and these capillaries are in contact with the cellular level. And this capillary, the blood from the capillary would now drain into the venules and back to our circulation. While talking about capillaries, they contain only one layer of cell, that is tunica intima only, containing the endothelial cell, and this allow the exchanges of substances between the blood and the tissue. There are three different kinds of capillary. Here you can see the endothelium. They are connected with each other with the help of tight junction. So this is continuous capillary. Here you can see even in the endothelium there are pores. So this is the fenestrated capillary, and here you can see in this capillary there is the space between the endothelium. So this is the sinusoidal capillary. When we talk about the filtration of blood through the capillary in the kidney, these capillaries in the kidney, they are fenestrated capillaries. Now, when the blood from the arterioles are going into the capillary, and for the filtration to occur into the tissue level, there are two different kinds of pressure which is favoring the filtration process. So the factors which is affecting the filtration are the hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure. The hydrostatic pressure is the one which is trying to drag the water and electrolytes out of the capillary into the tissue, and the osmotic pressure, which is being exerted by the plasma protein present in the blood, which is also called colloidal osmotic pressure. This pressure is trying to drag the water and electrolytes from the tissue level back to the capillary. So here you can see this direction is opposite to that of filtration. So osmotic pressure is not favoring the filtration, whereas the hydrostatic pressure is favoring the filtration. Apart from the hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure present in the blood in the capillary, even in the tissue level, in the interstitium, the fluid may also exert the hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure, but it is of negligible amount. Recently, they have discovered that apart from this hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure, the glycocalyx layer present intravascularly. You can see these are the endothelium of the capillary, and outside the cell membrane of the endothelium, intravascularly, you can see the layer of the carbohydrate. So this is the glycocalyx layer. This glycocalyx layer is also favoring the filtration process. So this is a recent advance nowadays. In case of kidney, we can see that the blood from the afferent arteriole, they are coming into this capillary, the tuft of capillary in the initial dilated portion of the Bowman's capsule, you call it glomerulus, and from this glomerulus, the blood will be filtrated out into the renal tubule, and this process is called ultrafiltration, and the filtered product is the ultrafiltrate. Now this ultrafiltrate, as it is moving down the renal tubule, two processes takes place. The reabsorption back towards the body and the secretion from the peritubular capillary back towards the renal tubule, and then only the final urine would be formed. So while talking about the mechanism of formation of urine, the very initial step is the process of filtration itself. So the glomerular filtration, this is the initial step in the urine formation where the plasma of the blood is being ultrafiltrated from the glomerular membrane. While talking about this glomerular membrane, we know that there are three layers: the fenestrated endothelium, the basement layer, and outside there is the food processes of the podocyte. And from this ultrafiltration, now the ultrafiltrate is moving towards the Bowman's space, which should be continue towards the lumen of the renal tubule. Now this ultrafiltrate which has been formed via this ultrafiltration process, they are identical to plasma in respect of osmolality, pH, concentration of electrolytes, but these ultrafiltrate, they do not have proteins and the blood cell. Even though we say there is no ultrafiltration of the protein, but also if the urine is containing less than 100 milligram of protein per day, we say it is normal, because this much protein is not being filtrated from the capillary, but they are formed by the epithelial shedding of the renal tubules. So now if there is significant amount of albumin is present in the urine, then they may be associated with the glomerular pathologies. Now let us see what is this glomerular filtration rate. Since this is associated with the storm rate, so obviously this is the glomerular filtration in account of certain time limit. Okay, so the volume of the glomerular filtrate formed, or the volume of the blood which has been filtered by all the nephrons of both kidney in each minute or per unit time, okay, that we call it glomerular filtration rate. So in a minute, the normal value is, in a minute, 125 ml of blood is being filtrated, or 125 ml of ultrafiltrate is being formed. Now if you calculate it in a day, you find that there is 180 liter of blood being filtrated in a day. Now this filtration depends upon two factors. The first one is effective filtration pressure. This effective filtration pressure is dependent upon the hydrostatic and the osmotic pressure. And the other one is the filtration coefficient of the glomerular membrane, which depends upon the permeability of the glomerular membrane as well as its surface area. So let us discuss about the effective filtration pressure over here. We all know that from this capillary, the blood would be filtrated out towards the Bowman's space. Now, the blood in this capillary, it is coming from the afferent arteriole. When the blood from the afferent arteriole is coming towards the capillary, this blood has two different kind of pressure, as we have discussed before. They are the hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure. So, this has a hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure of the capillary is one factor which is trying to help the filtration of blood out of the capillary into the Bowman's space. Now, even in the Bowman's space, there is the presence of ultrafiltrate. So, the hydrostatic pressure and the osmotic pressure of the Bowman's space is the one which is allowing whether the filtration of the blood from the glomerular capillary can occur or not. So, when we are talking about the effective filtration pressure, we have to take in account the hydrostatic and the osmotic pressure of both the area, that is the capillary and the Bowman's space. Here you see that the effective filtration pressure is the effective filtration force in the capillary and the effective filtration force in the Bowman's space only. So the hydrostatic pressure of the capillary minus the colloidal osmotic pressure of the capillary, if subtracted with the hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman's space and the colloidal osmotic pressure of the Bowman's space, it will give us the effective filtration pressure. The hydrostatic pressure of the capillary is around 45 millimeter of mercury. We know that this hydrostatic pressure in the glomerular capillary is higher than in other capillaries of our body because the blood in this capillary is coming from the afferent arteriole, which is short and thick, and the blood from this capillary is being draining into the efferent arteriole instead of the vein, which is now exerting higher resistance, due to which the capillary, they have the higher hydrostatic pressure. The colloidal osmotic pressure of the capillary is 25 millimeter mercury. So this one is the pressure exerted by the plasma protein, like in any other capillary of our body. So if you calculate the filtration pressure in the capillary only, you can see 45 minus 25 would be 20. Now the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space is found to be 10 millimeter of mercury, whereas in normal condition, the ultrafiltrate, it does not contain plasma protein, because the glomerular membrane present in these capillaries, they do not allow the plasma protein and the blood cells to be filtrated into the Bowman's space. That means the colloidal osmotic pressure in the Bowman's space would be 0. So if you calculate the filtration pressure favoring the filtration of blood through the glomerular capillary in the Bowman's space, the hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman's space minus the colloidal osmotic pressure of the Bowman's space would be only 10. Now, if we subtract this all value, we can find that the effective filtration pressure would be 10 millimeter of mercury. So, similar thing you can see here again. Here, the value are little bit different. So, this value you can find in some textbook also, standard textbook, but you should not be confused. So, these are just the normal range, 45 or 60. Okay, so this 45 to 60 may be a normal range. So again here, this 60 millimeter of mercury, okay, this pressure is trying to help the filtration. So this is the hydrostatic pressure, and this 32 millimeter of mercury, this is working against the filtration. Okay, so this is the osmotic pressure of the capillary, glomerular capillary. The G stands for glomerulus, and then the B stands for Bowman's space. Here you can see the osmotic pressure of the Bowman's space is only 0 millimeter of mercury, whereas the osmotic pressure of the Bowman's space is, the hydrostatic pressure of the Bowman's space is 18 millimeter of mercury. So these values are little different, but if you calculate again the effective filtration pressure, it is going to come around 10 millimeter of mercury only. Now, the second determinant of the glomerular filtration rate was the filtration coefficient of the glomerular membrane. So, this coefficient depends upon the capillary surface area. Larger the capillary surface area, larger will be the filtration, and also the membrane permeability. We find that the permeability of the capillary in the kidney is far higher than the permeability of capillary in other parts of our body, because the endothelium in this glomerular capillary, they are fenestrated. So the filtration coefficient in our kidney, it is found to be around 12.5 ml per minute per millimeter of mercury. So now if we are going to calculate the glomerular filtration rate, which is the product of the filtration coefficient and the effective perfusion pressure, so 12.5 into 10 is going to be 125 ml per minute. Okay, so in this way we have found that in a minute 125 ml of blood is being ultrafiltrated. And when you look at its determinant, you see that instead of this effective filtration pressure, which is exerting 10 millimeter of mercury, okay, pressure, effective pressure, the filtration coefficient, whose value is 12.5. okay, so this filtration coefficient, it is determining more the filtration of the blood than the effective filtration pressure. So again you can see the glomerular filtration rate, its determinants are the Kf over here is the filtration coefficient, which is 12.5, which is higher than the effective filtration pressure, whose value is only 10 millimeter of mercury. And effective filtration pressure depends upon the hydrostatic and the osmotic pressure of the capillary and the Bowman's space, in which in the normal condition the Bowman's space is osmotic pressure is 0, because the plasma protein are not being ultrafiltrated. So if you recognize this determinants only, now you can easily tell what are the factors regulating the GFR. So here you can see again the forces which is favoring the factors which is favoring the filtration and the factors which is opposing the filtration. So if the glomerular hydrostatic pressure of the capillary is favoring the filtration, whereas the capillary colloidal osmotic pressure, it is opposing the filtration. Similarly, the Bowman's capsule colloidal osmotic pressure, it is also favoring the filtration because it is also trying to drag the water and electrolyte from the capillary into the Bowman's space, okay? But in normal condition, it is only 0 millimeter of mercury. And the other factor which is opposing the filtration is the Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure. So if the Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure would be elevated, now the filtration process may not occur properly because the water and electrolyte from the ultrafiltrate, it would have the hydrostatic pressure higher than that of the capillary, due to which the filtration of the blood from the capillary into the Bowman's space would be difficult. So let us see what are the factors affecting the glomerular filtration rate. The first one is the hydrostatic pressure gradient. So this is the hydrostatic pressure of the capillary and the Bowman's space. As we have just discussed, higher the hydrostatic pressure in the capillary, higher will be the filtration. So this condition you can see whenever there is increase in the renal blood flow. So whenever there is increase in renal blood flow, the amount of blood going towards the capillary will also be increased, and its hydrostatic pressure would also be increased, and the glomerular filtration rate would be decreased. And the opposite thing you can see whenever the hydrostatic pressure in the capillary decreases, okay, at that time the GFR also decreases. So this condition you can see in the condition which leads to hypovolemia or hypotension. Now the other factors which is affecting the GFR is the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space. Whenever the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space is increased, then it is not allowing the filtration of the blood from the capillary into the Bowman's space, because the ultrafiltrate in the Bowman's space itself would try to go into the capillary, okay? So this condition is seen during the ureter obstruction. At this condition, you'll find that the urine which is being produced from the kidney is not being draining out into the ureter, okay, due to which the urine would be accumulated inside the kidney only, or the ultrafiltrated would be seen inside the nephron only. This ultrafiltrated, whenever accumulated inside the renal tubule and in the Bowman's space, okay, it is finally exerting higher hydrostatic pressure. So at this time, now the GFR would be decreased. Now let us see what would happen if the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space would decrease, okay? So when the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space is decreased, that means from the capillary, the blood is flowing into that area, into that Bowman's space, which has comparatively decreased hydrostatic pressure, means the filtration process should be favored, okay? So this decrease in the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space can be seen when the ultrafiltrate from the Bowman's space is quickly being moved towards the renal tubule, okay? So this movement of this ultrafiltrate from the Bowman's space into the renal tubule occurs whenever the GFR is increased, okay? So whenever the renal blood flow increases, the hydrostatic pressure in the capillary increases, the GFR increases, and more will be the turnover in such a way that the hydrostatic pressure in the Bowman's space would be decreased. So you see, the filtration in the glomerular capillary, it is basically dependent upon the hydrostatic pressure of the capillary, and this hydrostatic pressure of the capillary depends upon the renal blood flow. So this filtration process in the glomerular capillary of the kidney, that is flow limited, okay? So as long as there is the renal blood flow, then the filtration of the blood would be continued. So if the flow is stopped, the filtration would be limited. But this phenomenon may not be seen in other capillaries of our body. Here you can see that in other parts of our bodies, some different mechanism you can see. Here in the arterial end of the capillary, the hydrostatic pressure is 37 millimeter of mercury, and the osmotic pressure inside the blood of the capillary is 25. So here you can see the force which is favoring the filtration at this arteriolar end is around 12 millimeter of mercury. Okay, now from the arteriole, the blood which is going into the capillary, they contain oxygenated blood with lots of nutrient. So this oxygen as well as lots of nutrient would now start to diffuse out into the tissue space. Okay, so this filtration is now helping for the diffusion of those all wanted substances into the tissue level, and this thing continue as long as the concentration of the substance would reach to the equilibrium stage. Now similarly, when the blood from the arterial end is now coming towards the venular end, you see that the water and the dissolved substances had filtrated initially. Only the plasma protein was now remaining in this capillary blood which is going towards the venous region. Now because of this plasma protein, it is exerting the oncotic pressure of 25 millimeter of mercury, and the hydrostatic pressure in the venular end is only 17 millimeter of mercury. So here, since the osmotic pressure of the blood towards the venular end is higher, it is now favoring the water and the dissolved substances present in the interstitium side to move into the capillary. And interestingly, at this space, the waste product of the tissues like carbon dioxide and other waste products are accumulated, and these are now passed into the venular end of the capillaries and back towards our circulation. So here, from the arteriolar end, the filtration occurred, and from the venular end, the absorption occurred. Okay, so this process is a diffusion limited process. As long as the concentration gradient of the substances on two ends, the capillary side and the tissue side, is different, the diffusion of the substances occur. The filtration and the absorption process will continue to be occur. Okay, so when this concentration gradient will come to the equilibrium state, then only the process would be stopped. So this is the diffusion limited filtration. Now another factor which is affecting the GFR is the osmotic pressure gradient. So the osmotic pressure gradient of the capillary as well as the Bowman's space we have to take in account. Whenever the osmotic pressure in the capillary would be increased, we know that this osmotic pressure is acting against the filtration. So obviously the filtration wouldn't be lower, or the GFR would be lower. Such condition you can see in dehydration. In the dehydration condition, the water and the electrolyte level would be lower, but the osmotic pressure, the plasma protein level in the blood would be higher, due to which the blood would be concentrated, and due to which the osmotic pressure in the capillary would be increased. Now, whenever the capillary blood, it has the decreased osmotic pressure due to decreased plasma protein in the condition like hyperproteinemia, in which the liver itself has some problem due to which the plasma protein has not been synthesized, then at this condition, the hydrostatic pressure in the capillary would be higher, okay, and the filtration pressure would be more, due to which the GFR would be increased. Similarly, the osmotic pressure of the Bowman's space, if increased, generally the osmotic pressure in the Bowman's space should be 0 only, but if there is some glomerular pathologies and the from the glomerular membrane the plasma protein are now coming into the Bowman's space, the ultrafiltrate is also containing the plasma protein, then at that condition the osmotic pressure may be increased, and this increase in the osmotic pressure in the Bowman's space, it is now favoring more filtration, because they are now trying to drag the water and electrolytes from the capillary into the Bowman's space. And if there is decrease in the Bowman's space osmotic pressure, then it is obviously a normal condition, because it cannot decrease more than 0 millimeter of mercury. Now the other factor which is going to affect the GFR is the capillary permeability only. You know that the cations, they filter more than the anions, because in this filtration slit which is formed between the food process, in this food process there are the sialoproteins which is going to repel the anions, and the filtration of the molecule is inversely proportional to its size. Okay, so more is the diameter, lesser will be the filtration. So if it is more than 8 nanometer, then the filtration through this filtration slit would stop. Okay, so more is the capillary permeability, then more will be the filtration also. And this capillary permeability in the capillary of the kidney, they are more than the systemic circulation, because here you can see in the endothelium there is the fenestration, this hole you can see. Now the other factor is the size of the capillary bed. Here you can recall that the capillary permeability and the size of the capillary bed, or the surface area of the capillary bed, it was determining the filtration coefficient of the glomerular membrane. So increases the size of the capillary bed, then there will be increased surface area for the filtration, so the filtration rate will be increased. And you can just see the opposite, vice versa also you can see. And for this regulation of the surface area of the capillary, the mesangial cell is playing important role. You can see that whenever the mesangial cell, which is a parasite-like cell in the endothelium of the capillary, whenever this cell contract, then the surface area would also decrease, and this is going to decrease the GFR. So the potent stimuli for the contraction of the mesangial cell are the angiotensin II and the endothelin. Here you can see other substances also like vasopressin, norepinephrine, histamine. These all are going to contract the mesangial cell, and when the mesangial cell are contracting, the surface area would be decreased and the GFR would be decreased. Whereas the arterial, natriuretic peptide, dopamine, cyclic AMP, they are going to relax the mesangial cell in such a way that the filtration rate may be increased. Okay. So those were the factors which is going to affect the GFR. I again repeat, whenever you're talking about GFR and its factor affecting, just remember the formula. GFR is equal to the filtration coefficient times the effective filtration pressure. So these two are basically the factors which is affecting the GFR. Now when you're talking about the regulation of GFR, we have to know that how GFR is being maintained in that normal value only. We came to know that GFR per minute is 125 ml per minute, or in a day it is 180 liter per day. So although 180 liter of blood is being filtrated in a day, but the urine which is being produced is only 1 to 1.5 liter per day. So you can see so much reabsorption process has occurred from that ultrafiltrate that only 1 to 1.5 liter of urine had been produced. But if there is any fluctuation of the GFR, if it is increased or decreased, the amount of the urine production would also be increased or decreased. Okay. Now, if the amount of urine production would be increased unnecessarily, more amount of water and the electrolytes would be disposed out of our body, leading to hypovolemia and other electrolyte disturbances. And if the amount of urine would be less produced, then the amount of the rate of the unwanted substances which should be excreted out of the body would not occur, due to which the waste product would be accumulated in the body only, and that is also not what we require. Okay, so the fluctuation in the GFR is going to cause the water and the electrolyte imbalance, and this fluctuation in the GFR, the glomerular filtration rate, occurs whenever there is a change in the arterial pressure or whenever there is a change in the renal blood flow, because we came to know that the GFR is dependent upon the renal blood flow. It is a flow limited process. So for a GFR to be regulated in a normal range of 125 ml per minute or 180 liter per day, the arterial pressure or the renal blood flow should be maintained, and this thing occurs via the autoregulation of the renal blood flow. For the autoregulation of the renal blood flow, this process occurs whenever the arterial pressure is fluctuated between 90 to 220 millimeter of mercury only. Here you see that the autoregulation occurs via the intrinsic contractile property of the vascular smooth muscle, which we call the myogenic theory. It may be due to the accumulation of the metabolic products to act as vasodilator or vasoconstrictor at the local level, which we call the metabolic theory, or according to the requirement, the endothelium of the vessel would start to secrete the vasoconstrictor or vasodilator. The vasoconstrictor like endothelin, which is going to cause the contraction of the mesangial cell, or the vasodilator like nitric oxide, which is going to cause the relaxation of the smooth muscle and dilatation of the vessel. Okay, so this endothelium itself is helping for the autoregulation process. Now in kidney, the autoregulation also occurs via the tubulo-glomerular feedback mechanism, in which the amount of the sodium chloride which is coming in the tubules, basically the macula densa area, is now going to give signal towards the glomerular capillary so as to increase or decrease the GFR. Okay, so this four mechanism we had discussed in detail in my previous video, which was named the autoregulation of renal blood flow itself. So if you want to know this autoregulation in detail, you can check in my last video. So yes, this much for today, guys. So we had discussed about the glomerular filtration, the GFR, which is very, very important concept. The value is important, right? What is GFR is important. And then what are the factors affecting GFR? When you are talking about the factors affecting, you have to know the formula. The filtration coefficient, which is dependent upon the capillary permeability and the surface area of the glomerular membrane, and the effective perfusion pressure, which is depending upon the hydrostatic and the osmotic pressure in the glomerular capillary and in the Bowman's space. And then when you are talking about the regulation of the GFR, it is basically due to the autoregulation of the renal blood flow. So this much for today, guys. I hope this video was useful to you. If you like this video, please press this thumb icon, the like button, and then also subscribe to our channel, Mida Physiology Blog. And if you have any questions, any queries, please do comment. Thank you.